2, we will be implementing task processing logic by using Azure Functions. Right? Let's get right into it. Um, we will need just a few things. I believe we all have them. First, it would be a web browser, your preferred web browser. You will also be using your file explorer, Windows Terminal, also known as CMD, and then we'll use also Visual Studio Code. So let's look at the architecture of what we will be doing. So we will create, and please forgive me. Apologies for the background noise. Yeah. Um, so we will create and configure a local function project. We'll be using .NET, and then we will get to deploy that function to Azure and using a function app. And our app will consist of three main routes. We would have echo, we will have the reoccurring, and then we'll have get info. And what will essentially happen is that through this function, we will be able to post information to, we will be able to go to echo and post information to our function app. We can be able to get information from our storage through the get setting info. So we'll get to upload a content in our, we will upload actually setting.json in our container, or rather in our storage account, and then after we get to retrieve it using function app under the route called get setting info. So give me a moment so that I can admit someone in the lobby. Okay, so let's get into it. Do we have any questions?
Was as a colleague in a way. Friend. What is the nature of your relationship? Friends. Our friends.
Can we please mute our mics? Okay, thank you. So um let's get into it, right? Um First thing first, you would need also to have an Azure account. You can easily create, get a free trial so that you can have a subscription that you would be using to consume all the services that we will be. Apologies. I just got disconnected from my laptop. Just give me a few minutes. I will rejoin and we'll get started. Okay, yeah, let me share my screen. Okay, as I said, we will need to go to portal.azure.com, and then you should have some sort of a subscription. So I would ideally want to ask if we all have um, registered our accounts to Azure and we have some sort of free subscriptions. Does anyone have or have they redeemed their free subscription from Azure? Tumelo, Tuliswa, and Mnoneli. Eh? Mnoneleli.
Yeah, no.
Do you have the free trial or you don't have it as yet?
No, I do have the free trial.
I do have. I also do have.
Okay, awesome. So, preferably, I would want this session to be more of an interactive one, right? Because I mean, it's good for me to do those things and then you to watch, but then it's even greater for us to do them together. Um, because if we do them together, we get to all do those mistakes and learn from them. Because if you only look at what I'm doing, I might not even get a single error, of which whenever you then get to do it, you experience some errors and then end up not completing the lab. So please, 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 let's follow along. Wherever you get stuck, let me know. Okay. So I hope we all have our laptops, PCs open, and I will share. I know we already have it, but then for reference also, I will just share the link to Microsoft to the GitHub learning path so that we can be able to just get started with it. So let us please, or even if you don't go there, we will just do it step by step with you guys. Wherever you get stuck, just let me know. And yeah, let's get into it, right? So um, we would start first, ideally, by creating Azure resources. And then after creating Azure resources, we'll then get to locally create our function and configure it. After configuring it, we will then, once it functionally works, we will then get to publish that function to Azure to our to publish it to our function app. Okay, so ideally you would open the portal in your browser of choice, and then the first thing that you will be creating would be a storage. And the storage account, I'm not gonna just go through each and everything line by line, but if necessary, I can do that. But then first thing first, would create a storage account. How do we create a storage account? Well, the portal gives us some sort of flexibility, right? Um, Others, when they logged in, they can see storage account right away, or you can just search it here. You search storage account, and then here it is, or you can come to create a resource as well, and then you would select storage account. Storage account, and we should see storage account, and then this is how it looks like. Well, I think in yesterday's lab,
Sir,
okay, yes, sir.
I can see in your screen, or maybe like in your didn't shade.
Everyone, can you please confirm if you can see my screen?
I can see a screen.
Okay, let me just stop and reshare so that maybe we can be on the same page. Please let me know if you can see my screen now.
Yeah, I can see a screen.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Um, So yesterday, I think Gideon created the storage account from here, which is still the same process. Also, if I was to search for storage account here, and then I click on storage accounts, this is how it will look, and then I would click create from here now. It will create the very same thing. Okay, and um, first thing first, let's look at what they want us to do. We would retain the subscription that we have, or if you have multiple subscription, you can select the one that you want the storage account to fall under. And then here we will create a new resource group called serverless, and then our storage account, we will call it Funk Store, and then it will end with our name. So first thing first, under resource group, I will click create new. I'll paste the serverless name here, and then the storage account name, it will be function storage, but then it's Funk Store, and then my name also. So I'll just say Funk Store Philip. And then the region, I think they said East US. You can choose the closest region to you, but then I'm just going to leave it to be default. The performance, it should be standard. And then the redundancy, we will just choose LRS to save cost, because remember, our subscription, our free trial doesn't have a lot of funds anyway. So we would want to use things that consume less of that credit that we have. Okay, and also in the labs, we have they just said we should select LRS. Okay, this is what it will look like. We would agree that we are all on the same page, and then we will then get to move to the review tab and then create. I will just click on review and then click on create after the validation is done, of course. So can I confirm that we are on the same page, or have I left you guys behind?
The same page.
Okay, okay, thank you for confirming, sir. Okay, so the validation is done and it has passed. So we'll then get to click create. Okay. After creating, you would ideally wait for the resource to be created, and then after creating it, we will go under the security and networking section. We will then select access key, where we will get to copy one of the access keys, or rather the connection strings that we have there. We will get to use it in our function. Okay, let's just give it a little bit of time so that it can create. So far, do we have any questions or any concerns?
All good on my side.
Okay, awesome. All right, our storage account has created. So now I will just click go to resource, and if I don't want to come via go to resource, ideally what I would do, I would come to my resource groups, and then under resource groups I should have serverless. This is the newly created resource group that I created when I was creating my storage account. And then under that resource group, I should see my storage account, which is functions storage Philip. I'm gonna click on that, and then as I said, we will go to security and networking, section where we'll get to go to access keys. And then under access keys, we'll see two keys. So you can use, we'll get to copy one connection string. You can use either key 1 or key 2. So they are used interchangeably. So you don't need to worry on which one to copy. So I'll just take key 2. Okay, and then obviously if you copy it and then you're gonna use it, that means you need to obviously paste it somewhere, so that once you want to use it, you can get it. Okay, can I confirm that everyone has created their storage account and then they have copied the connection string? Or are we still in the process, or maybe we haven't started as yet?
So now, for me, I'm still struggling with Azure account.
Or Azure account?
Yeah,
Okay, so what seems to be the problem there, sir?
when I enter the card holder name, like it like it gives me an error. So I don't know what
Oh,
should I do.
the card holder name. So ideally, you can maybe write your initials and surname. I
Okay, I'll
think.
try to. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
try to do one.
yeah.
So, like, cause I logged in with my school email. Does it allow it?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. If you, it will still allow you. It's still fine.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
Everyone, please, if you are struggling, please let me know so that we can help you. So now that we have copied that connection string, we have pasted it in our notepad, and because we're going to need it later on to use it. So now we will move to task 3, where we create a local function. So actually not now, we are creating a function app in Azure, and then after creating the function app in Azure, that's when we'll get to create local function. So you will go to the portal and then you'd select create a resource, and then under create a resource you would go to the marketplace and then you'd search function, and then you would ideally select the function app and then you click create. So let us go and do that. So others might actually see that function app here. It's still fine to select it and create it from there, right? Or you can come to create resource if you don't see it, and then under resource, you can search function, and then you should be able to see function app. Um, okay, here we have a function app here, or if you prefer, you can also search it here. Function, and then here you have it, function app, and then you can click that and then you would create. So now I'll just create it from here. I'll select create. It will fall under my subscription, which is the only subscription that I have. Then I'm not going to create a resource group. I'm going to use the serverless. And then the function name, I would come here to confirm which function name they want. It's func logic and then my name. So I will put it here and then I will then type my name at the end, and then we will be publishing code. Our runtime, as I said, it's a .NET, so we will use .NET and then we'll use .NET 6. Okay, and then our region, we will then say it's East US, because our resources, we're creating our resources from East US. Okay, and then our operating system will be Linux, and then also we will then consume serverless. Our plan type will be to consume serverless, or rather serverless consumption. Okay, so let me come here. As you can see, so I would select the operating system, excuse me for that, and then I will just leave this as is, and let's see. Okay, then select next for hosting, and then the following screenshot would display the settings in the create function app blade. So this is what we already saw, and then let's get to move on the hosting tab. So we actually don't have a hosting tab. Um, if you look at all the tabs that we have, we only have basic, networking, monitoring, deployment, tags, review, and create. So it's worth noting that we actually don't have the hosting. So this means that um, Azure has removed that tab. So we'll just skip it and then see how it goes. Okay, and then ideally after selecting that, we would then get to do review and create. So since, well, we don't have that hosting tab, I'll just click review and create. Okay, the validation has passed, and also to show that hosting was actually part of function app. You can see here they didn't remove it, but then under it there's nothing. So that means all the functionalities that had to do with hosting has been removed. Yeah, but then for now, as you can see, everything is as it should. Then I will click create, and then it will take its own time. Okay, so we are done with creating resources in Azure. And now what we are left with is now to configure a local Azure function project. Okay, so even if you haven't created the resources as yet, I encourage everyone to actually take part in this one. So even if you haven't created your storage account, you haven't created your function app, please make sure that here when we configure a local Azure function project, you do follow, and then you can always come back and create the Azure storage, the storage account, as well as the function app. But then it's very, very important to make sure that you create. It's very important to make sure that you create and you follow the creation and configuration of this Azure function project. Okay, so the first thing first, it would be to initialize a project, initialize a function project. Um, you would need to download all the files. How do you do that? I will just copy this and come here. You would come to Azure 900 Developing Solutions for Microsoft Azure, and then you would click on code and then download zip. I'm also gonna download it so that we can get started. Okay, so the reason why I'm encouraging everyone to actually do this is so that whatever error you encounter, because depending on whether you installed the right tools in your machine, you might experience several errors pertaining the versions that you have installed compared to the versions that have been that we are using now, and all those kind of errors that you might experience in terms of not having the right tools to create. So I would encourage everyone to do it so that when you're experiencing an error, we can try and solve it, so that whenever we continue with other labs, we don't get to go back into trying to solve errors that we can solve now. Okay. Um, I'll wait for the files to download, but then let's look at what it says. So first you would open your terminal, and then you would then get to go to the lab files and under lab 2, and then you would go to the starter under function. That's where you will get to route to. And then we also have nodes that we have to note. Here they say in Windows Explorer, remove the read-only attribute from the .gitignore file. Okay, so it shouldn't be only a read-only. So you should make sure that all the nodes that are there, you actually get to look at them and make sure that you follow them. Okay. After changing here, we would ideally run the following command, which is to use the Azure Function core tools, and then it will be used to create a new local Azure Function project in the current directory, and then we would be using .NET runtime. So as you can see, we have function in it, and then we have worker runtime, which is .NET, and then we wanted to create it in our local or our current directory. So I'm just gonna wait a little bit. My network might be slow, I think. We will wait for it to download. Once it has downloaded the files, we will then get to actually we will get to move on. So if I may ask, do we all have, or have we all downloaded these files? Is there anyone who has already downloaded the files from here? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, I think before Gideon told us to download that file.
Okay, awesome.
I'm not sure if it's that one or maybe there's another. I think on that link.
Yes, so if you have downloaded them, then I think we are good to go. Though I would appreciate it if I get feedback from everyone so that I can know um if everyone is on the same page, because as I said, I would encourage everyone to do this actually now, so that whatever error you experience, we get to look at it now and solve it now, so that by the end of this lab, you get to have gained not only experience in building the app, and you would also get more like experience in which tools would you need to successfully build this function app, and also to deploy it, so please guys do do let me know if you have done all those things. So it's taking time. Um, it's taking time, honestly. So I'm just gonna try and see. I think before I had something that had to do with AZ204. Okay. Okay, so under downloads I do have those. So I'll just pause this one because I have this one. So I would want to move it to somewhere where I'd be able to actually work. So I'll come under Philip here, and then maybe let me come this side, and then I will create a new folder. I'll just say it's AZ. Well, I don't think I will need to create this because it will automatically create something of that sort. I will say extract all. I will just copy this to be where I want to extract. Okay, awesome. There I have my files. So we will go to all files, and then we go to labs, and then we are doing lab 2, and then I'll come to starter, and then under function. As you can see, we don't have any we don't have any code as yet, but then they said we should make sure that the .git ignore file actually doesn't only have read only. So I have removed the read only property, then I will click apply. Okay, that's what they wanted. So I'll just cancel this one. So since well everyone has access um, to the files, I guess we will then get to be on the same page. Okay, so I will come back to my files here. Okay, and as it says that you need to navigate, or rather to change to here, you would need to actually open your terminal in here, or rather you would open your terminal and then route to here. So the shortest way of doing that, you just come to your file. As you can see, it's the lab 2 under starter file, which also has a folder called function. So I will come and click on that route here. And then what I will do, I will just say Alt D and then leave it. And then I'll just type CMD. And then I will click enter. And then that will automatically open my terminal inside that path, that file path, which is under all files, lab files, which is lab number 2, starter, and then function under func. Okay, so let us then get to see what they're saying. We will run the following function, Azure function core tool command, which will create an application or a function, an Azure function, which has a .NET runtime. So I will ideally copy this, or you can just say func init. We can just type it instead. Okay. I'll just say function initialize. I'll just say worker runtime, which will be .NET, and then I will just say dash dash force. So since I said everyone should participate in doing this, please let me know once you have ran this, and then let me know if it has successfully ran, or if it successfully executed. Okay, so on my side, looks like that command successfully executed. If I come to my files now, I would see that function here, which is in C#, and then I see host, and then I also see local settings, and then I also have another folder that's called .vs code. So please let me know if you have if you have actually run the command, and then if it was successful or unsuccessful, so that we can know if we move forward or not. Remember to run this. As I said, if you got in late or you still experiencing some sort of challenges with creating Azure resources, you can skip that for now, because here we are only creating local function. A local function, it would be in your local PC. So then we will get to create the Azure resources afterwards, and then make sure that they connect, and then we publish. But then for now, everyone should just focus on creating this application, this function rather. So please let me know once you have run the function, and then if it has successfully run.
So, what do we type when we are in the func folder to get to this command line?
Okay, so to get the command line, so I will just close it, and once you are in this func folder here, right, you just come to, you see where I'm highlighting on the path, file path here. You just come and highlight it, make sure that it is highlighted like that. Okay, and then what you would do, you would press Alt and D at the same time. Then once you have pressed those, you let them go, and then you type CMD. And then after typing CMD, you would see that that path actually disappears. What would be left would be the CMD there, and then you press enter. Once you have pressed enter, then the CMD will appear, and then it will have the same file path, or it will be in that path where your folder, where you opened that CMD. It will be in the same file directory. Okay, and then once you have done that, that's where now you will get to run a func init dash dash worker dash runtime, and then you'd say space .NET, and then after you say space dash dash force to create your Azure function.
Can you please share the command that we have to write?
Okay, it's fine. I can share that. It should be in the chat now.
Okay.
Okay, other guys, how are we doing? Noneleli, Amanda, and Tuliswa. Are we all on the same page or in the same page? Is it on or is it in? But are we? Are we on the same page? Yes, no, maybe, or slightly. Yes, sir.
No, the problem is I'm in the road. I think in 15 minutes I will be in the service place.
Please come again.
I'm saying I'm on the road now, so in 15 minutes I will be on the service.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's when I'll be able to answer you.
Okay, okay. I hear you, sir. Okay, Mr. Muyeng, you will let me know once you have run that, and then let me know how it goes. But so far, since well, we don't have any some sort of feedback from the other guys, except from Noneleli. We will then get to move.
Yeah, it's fine, sir.
Okay, okay. If it ran, then I guess your first Azure function is created. So here you would configure a connection string. So if you haven't created the Azure storage, then this is the part where you would go to your Azure storage. You'd go to Azure, create a resource, and the storage account, you would click create, and you would ideally follow the steps at the top there where you create the account and everything. And then once you have
Sir,
created, yes, sir.
wait, like it's saying the func is not recognized as an internal or external command.
Oh, okay. So now this means that you don't have Azure function tools, or rather Azure core function tools. So if I just say Azure core function tools, I will share with you this actually this command, which will then will be able to install. These are the type of things that I was hoping we would if other guys would experience the same things, we would get to solve now. So you would run this in your command or in your terminal or CMD. You just copy and paste this. It will basically install all the Azure function core tools. Then you'll be able to run that func command.
Okay, let me just copy and paste it.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So, as I said, you would ideally follow the previous steps, but then for now, it's not really necessary. Um, you would ideally need to actually face this when you are now communicating with your blob storage, or you are communicating with your storage account, and then you would ideally change this. So remember, we copied the connection string. This is where you would change it. So let's look at where would you change it. You would use VS Visual Studio Code, but then for now, let me actually wait for Mr. Muyeng to finish so that we can be on the same page.
It says NPM is not recognized.
Oh,
I
also,
don't know if
okay, so my bad install mode. Okay, so what you need would be to install Node.js. Um, let me try and get. Okay, so okay, I already have Node. So I will share with you a link where you would go to install Node and then execute. Once that file, executable file or MSI file has been installed, click on it, make sure that it installs on your PC, and then after installation, you should be able to run all those Node. You should be able to run any npm command. So please just click on that link. It will take you directly to this page. You would then select based on your PC whether it uses 64 bits or 32. You would then select the one that you prefer, and then it will download. After downloading, you would then be able to install it to your PC. And then after the installation, you should be able to use all the node commands. And others, please let me know if we are still on the same page. And do follow the steps. So now, if you don't have Node, first thing first, you would go to the node.js.org, or rather you would just say on Google search install Node, and then the one that has node.js.org, you select it, and then for Windows, if you're using Windows, you would either select the 32 or 64 bits. And then once it has been installed, that's when now you can now run npm install Azure Functions core tools, which is when now you'll be able to now get to create Azure Functions on your PCs, locally on your PCs. Okay. Let's move, Mr. Muyeni. We will get back to you. So after you have initialized your function, you would then ideally, if you already created your resources in Azure, your resources being your storage account and your function app. For now, we're gonna look at how to configure a connection string. And how we would do that, we would do that in Visual Studio Code. So our newly created Azure function, that's where we will then open Visual Studio Code. And then after opening Visual Studio Code, we will then get to go to the file, which is local.settings.json. And then we would observe that Azure Web Storage, and then we would change the Azure Web Storage element to the connection string of the storage account that we recorded earlier. Okay, so how do we do that? Since I have opened my I've opened the command line, or rather since I've opened the terminal or CMD, I can open Visual Studio Code from here, or I can come also in here, and then I will just, if you have Visual Studio already, and then you have the function to actually, you have the capabilities of opening Visual Studio inside a folder, you can just say open with Visual Studio. But then since everyone will get to use the terminal, I recommend that we use it from here, because others might have installed Visual Studio Code, but then once they right click, and they don't actually have open with Visual Studio. So I will just use the terminal, Windows terminal. So since we are in that directory, I will just say code space, and then I will just put a dot, or rather a full stop, just like this. And then if I press enter, it should open Visual Studio Code for me. And then it will just ask you if you trust this, and then I will obviously say I trust it. And then here, after opening that, in the file explorer of Visual Studio Code, you would open local.settings.json file, and then we would observe the following thing. So I would come to local settings.json, and then as you can see, they're saying we should observe this Azure Web Jobs Storage, and then it's assigned to this value, which is use development storage, which is equals to true. Okay, and then number 6, they say change the value of the Azure Web Jobs Storage element to the connection string of the storage account that you recorded earlier in this lab, and then after you would get to save it. So I will come here. You don't need to put in any extra things here. All you do is just to copy it and paste it as is. You come here, you change this value. You just come and take out everything in here, and then you just paste that. Okay, and then after pasting it, you save it, and then that's it for now. That's it for now. So we will then get to move into building and validating the project. And so as you can see, we would go on the terminal again, where you would go to the func directory, and then you would just say .NET build. So I'll just copy that, or I can just type it and say .NET build. Oh, I typed .NET, not .NET. .NET build, and then as you can see, it is building the project. Ideally, it takes just a few seconds, and then we will get to move on. So as you can see, our .NET has been built, or rather, our Azure function has been built. Okay, so we have done exercise 2 where we created the local Azure function app. So also, I would want to know function project, rather. We configured a local Azure function project. So I want to know if we are on the same page before we move to exercise 3. Okay, I see. For now, I don't have any questions, any concerns. So I'd assume that we are up to speed. Wherever you get stuck, just refer. You would then get to refer to the recording. So as you can see now, we have done exercise 1 and 2. Now we'll move to exercise 3. In exercise 3, we would create a function that's triggered by an HTTP. So let's look at what does this entail. So we would then go to Windows Terminal and then direct move or change the directory to the path that they have given us here. And then we would run um, the following command, which is to create a new function, which is named echo, which is using the HTTP trigger template. So as you can see, we already have the terminal that is also in the same directory. So what we need to do now is to create that function. I'll just say func new and then the template that I'm going to use. It would be the HTTP trigger, HTTP trigger, and then the name of that function, we will call it echo. Echo like that. And then do we have any other thing? Nope. Then I will press enter. And then it will then get to create that. So as you can see here, it says no template found matching HTTP trigger for language. That's that. So the reason why we have this is because of, let me just check. First.net, something of this sort. What's the name of the command? I think I forgot it. Let me just .net dash dash list. Hmm. Okay, let me see. Okay, I should have something under here. Tuliswa. I should have something. I think I have something somewhere. Okay, list SDKs. So I would say .NET list SDKs. Okay. So I have I have 3 versions of .NET. So what happens is that whenever you want to create a function that has an HTTP trigger, it would be ideally from what? From version 3 of .NET. So let's also verify which version is this. It uses 3.1. The core app is .NET Core 3.1. So whenever we try to use templates, it would ideally use more like the latest version. So the latest version would be 6. So how do we get to solve that? We'll get to solve that by running this command. So also, if you have .NET, if you don't have .NET, what you would ideally do, you would just search for .NET 3.1, I think. Yeah, and then this is the .NET that you would ideally need, and then make sure that you download for Windows. So I will also share this with you on the chat. So if you don't have any .NET in your PC, make sure that you download .NET 3.1 so that you don't experience this error. Okay, so I will then get to run. That. I will then get to run .NET new global JSON. .NET, and then I will just say new global and JSON. Okay, so if you run this, it will show you actually which .NET is being used on, which one is being used on your PC. Please give me a moment. Okay, let me share my screen again. Reshare my screen. Okay, so you would then, as you can see, .NET Global has been created. And if I open my Visual Studio Code now, then we should be able to see which .NET is being used. As you can see here, the version that is being used is 6.0.402, as I've mentioned. So as you can see there, that's more like the latest one. So I wanted to use this one. So what I would do, I would just say copy, and then I'll come here. I will then replace it there, and then I will say save. And then after saving that, my command then for creating that application should run fine. Let me now try and check it. Okay, yeah, this is the function new, and then we are creating an Azure function which uses an HTTP trigger, and its name is echo. Then I'll just press enter, and then let's wait for it to create. And as you can see, to show that it's creating, you can see now we have a echo.cs or echo.c#. And this now it says that the echo was created successfully from the trigger template. So it's worth noting to know that, okay, your function app was created from version 3.1 and or rather version 3, and then if you have several versions in your PC, it will use the current or the latest one. So in order for you to make sure that it uses version 3, what you need to do first, it would be to run the command of creating. First, you would need to check all the .NET SDKs that you have, and then you would then create a new global.json file, which will get to tell the compiler which version do we want to use. Okay, let me also share this on the chat as well, just to make sure that we on the same list or the same page. I'll paste that. And then what else? I will also paste this one, which is for listing all the .NET SDKs that you have in your machine. So first you run that .NET list SDKs, which will show you all the SDKs that you have. And then after that, if you have more than one, which are not which don't fall under version 3, then you would then get to create a new global JSON file, which you will get to tell the compiler which version of .NET do you want to use. Okay. Yeah, and my application has been created successfully. So that means we can look at it and then we can move on with the labs. So after that has been done, you would close the terminal. I'm not going to close it because we're going to need it afterwards. So, and then also here we move to task 2 where we write HTTP triggered function code. And then we would obviously open Visual Studio Code, and then on the file menu, we would open the folder, we would route to that function directory, and then we would then get to look at echo.cs file, and then we would get to look at, or rather observe, the code that's in there. Well, that's the template code that comes. So I will come here to edit to echo.cs, and then this is the template that comes with it. We're ideally not going to use this. We will get a code that will ideally come, that we will get to use. So as you can see, we will delete all the content within that, and then we will paste this one using Microsoft.ASP.NET Core MVC. We would use web jobs, we would use HTTP, and then we'll use also login. Okay, so where's my code? I'll come here and then I will replace everything with that, and then all our imports. And then here we will create a new public static class, which is called echo. You would just say public static class, which is echo. And then a class looks like this. And then this is how the file now would look like. It will have all the 4 imports or the usings that we will be getting to leverage. And then we also have a class, an empty class. And then inside the class, we will get to add methods that will be within that class. So as you can see, within the echo class, add the following block of code to create a new public static method named run that returns a variable or type of type iAction result, and that also takes in the variable of type HTTP request and iLogger as a parameter named request and logger. So you can definitely type this so that you can get familiar with coding or C#, but then I'm just gonna, for time's sake, I'm just gonna copy this and paste it. Okay. So I will paste it here. If you are a little bit more organized, you wouldn't want it to still be structured like that. It looks something like this, and always I prefer my code to look like that. And I'm very, very strict when it comes to indentation. So far we have an error. As you can see, we have some sort of red lining under there. Reason why is that because this is a method, and then this method, it doesn't return void. It returns something, and then which there's being the data type that's returned. But then if you can see here, we don't have a return. Okay, so for now, I'm just gonna say return void, but then we will get to see what it returns actually, right? So let's look at it. Let's go down. So as you can see, we added that. It received an HTTP request called request, and then an iLogger, which is logger. Well, data type of HTTP request, which has been a request. So here we will add an attribute, a function name attribute of echo. So I will copy it. You just paste it on top of your method. So if you come top of your method, you just paste it there. Okay. And then now let's look at what's happening. So they have changed now from HTTP request only, and then they have given also which function does it. It's a post. So it's a HTTP request HTTP request or HTTP trigger called post. You would put it before the HTTP request argument. I'll just come here and I'll paste it there. And then that's what you added. So you add the following to append the attribute, to append an attribute to the request parameter of that HTTP trigger attribute. And then also here, we'll get to what? Observe how it looks like. So as you can see, our file now should have those four usings. It should have a public static class, which is named echo. And then inside echo, we should have a method, a static method, which returns a something of this data type. And then that method is called run. And then it receives two parameters, the HTTP request, which is actually a post request, a post HTTP request, and then it receives a logger. Okay, so in the method now we will then get to run. In the run method, we'd get to enter the following code. Where you would log the information. Whenever you receive a request, you would use logger.information and say received a request. So whenever there's a request, then you should be able to see that this response. Okay. Let's move forward, and then now we are returning a new OK object result, which has results.body. So whatever you are posting, it will return it exactly as is. So I will come and then I will paste it. Then this error should get removed because we only got an error because this method returns something, but then we didn't have this return. Okay. And I think that's it for that. And then this is how it will look like. We have the four usings. We have a method called a static class, rather not a method, a public static class called echo. And then inside echo, we have a method called run, which returns an I action result data. And inside, well, that method receives two parameters, which is a post HTTP request and an iLogger, which would be used to log whenever there's a HTTP request, a post HTTP request received. So as you can see here, we will save. And then task 3, this is where now we will get to test. I believe this is fairly small. So maybe if I zoom it a little bit so that we can be able to see. Okay, so yeah, now we will get to test the HTTP trigger function by using HTTP reply. Okay, so on the terminal, so let me make sure that I've saved. Yeah, it's saved. So on the terminal, you would need to go there, and then you would run this. Run the following command to run the function. So I will just copy. My screen is a little bit impaired on the bottom, so I can't see clearly, but then I will just run that. Okay, and as you can see, our application is running. Well, not our application, our function is running. And how do we test that? By coming here and implementing a post method. So anyone who has Postman can actually, well, this is a local host, so we would need to be under the same network. But then I can test it. So as you can see, it's a post, so I wouldn't want to paste it here because it will just give me an error, or rather to say this can be found. Okay, so how do I then get to see if this is working? You can use Postman or Thunder Client. So my Visual Studio Code has what we call a Thunder Client. Thunder Client gives you the ability to check to test whether your APIs are working. So your API would be a URL like this, and then it's a post method, right? And then if it's a post method, you would give it something in the body. So in this body, I would just say, maybe say subject, something of this sort. A body would take in a JSON format. JSON format, what? JSON format information. Okay, so as you can see, I'm on JSON, so it should give me that. So I would just say AZ204 is interesting, something like this. And then once I send here, actually two things should happen. The iLogger, remember we have an iLogger. This should say a request, receive the request, right? And then also this should return whatever body that we have put in. So under here, the response here, we should be able to see a status of 200. 200 means that it's successful. And then we should see the body. We should ideally see this. Okay, so I'll just click send there. And then as you can see, status is 200. And then as you can see, I get what I just put in. put in. So now if I open the terminal, I should see that it received a request. So ideally, this is more of an endpoint, which is called a post. And then if you go to that endpoint and you post the information, it will give you back that information. Okay. I'm thinking of a simpler way of how this would be applied. So think of it or as an e-commerce website, right? We all use e-commerce websites. What's an e-commerce website? It's a retail online websites that you use in online shopping, right? So the online shopping website has two sides, a back end and a front end. The front end is what you see, all the data that you see on the front. But then there's a back end which corresponds with the front end. So if you select, if you go to a website now and then you select clothes in that e-commerce website, what would happen is that your front end would actually we would run a get request, and then that get request will specify in the link to say, okay, I need clothes that looks like this. Okay, and then after that, or also maybe on your body, maybe you might want to specify whatever you want. Now, once you click that search button, it's more of you are clicking send, and then the back end would only receive that link, and then it would also receive the parameters that you have given it. And then what would be returned here ideally, it would be the actual clothes that you've searched for. If you searched for a belt instead, for instance, maybe the link it will have, obviously it won't be this link, but then it would be something else. And then once you click search, it will return something of that sort. So I'm just trying to kind of give you something that you can relate to. So let me try and maybe get into one retail shop. Let me just say t-shirt. I just hope this won't be beyond our scope. It's just to show I'm not even sure if it's still loading or what. Okay, so I will just come and copy this, and then I will then paste it here. I will send. So I can't test this because obviously they have specific securities and everything. But then I can ideally use this, and then this would give me a communication with the back end, and that would give me some sort of information that would appear here. Okay. Yeah, I hope it gives you some sort of an idea of where that is going. Okay, and after that, here you can see, so let's get to look at the examples here, which we'll do. So also here you would open another instance of your Windows terminal. You would navigate also in here, and then first of all, if you don't have this HTTP reply or REPL, what you would actually do for the first time is to say .NET tool install, and then it will install this so that you can be able to now test. So what I'm gonna do is to open so I'm trying to go to here, and then under all files, under lab files, under lab number 2, and under func. So I'll come here, I'll say Alt D, and then I will press CMD. So I will have actually two instances of, I'll have two instances of the terminal. I will put one here, and then I would want to put another one on the other side here. Okay, so first thing first, you would need to run this if you haven't installed it. But then since well, I've installed it, there's no use for me to rerun that again. I'll just copy this, and then I will minimize. I will paste it under. Okay, so after pasting it under that, we want to work on echo API/echo. So what we would need is to actually route there. You can see, note an error message is displayed by this HTTP REPL tool. This message occurs because the tool is searching for a Swagger definition file to use to traverse the API. And because your function project doesn't produce a Swagger definition file, you'll need to traverse the API. You need to traverse the API manually. And then how you do that is to shift from here, and then you change also to here. So I will do that. And then after that, we would post, we would get to use the post instead of using Thunder Client to test if your endpoint works. You can use you can run this in your terminal, which essentially does the same thing. Okay, so I will come here and I'll just say cd API, and I'll cd into echo, which is our endpoint. And then under here, this is where now I will run a post. This is where I will run a post method. I will say post dash content. I will start with 3, and then I will move on to say 5. Every time we post that, we should get some sort of 200 if it was written successful. If not, we should get a different status code. And then every time we do a request, it should show that it has received a request. So I'm just going to say post dash content. When I say 3, and you see here's another request here, and then also as you can see here, we have a 200. Okay, and then this is the date to show that this has been done. I will then say 5, and then as you can see also here, I have another request, and then as you can see, this is what I get, and then this is what it's returned after. And then let's move below. So here you can also do hello, and then also you would pass in a JSON format data. So let's do that. First thing first, you just put in a hello, and then you would get your hello here. And then now we would put in a JSON formatted data. So that's MSG, I think. Something of that sort. I didn't actually take a long browse. Okay, yeah, you say you put your JSON format into a quote, and then you then write, and then you say it's successful. Okay, let me minimize that. Then I would just say it's successful. And then once I click that, this is our JSON data that has been posted. Okay, and that's it for that. And then we can exit because now we know that our function runs well, very well. Okay, just say exit here, and then you are out. Then to stop this, you just say Control C, and then it will stop. Okay, so I'll just keep those two commands or terminals for now. So as you can see, now we are done with exercise 3. We are now getting into exercise 4, where we create a function that triggers on a schedule. So this now we will then get to trigger your function each and every time. Maybe per minute it can be triggered per what? I don't know, per 5 minutes, per 30 seconds. Well, it depends on how long you want it. So how would you apply this? Maybe you want to run a function that generates some sort of reminders. So let's apply this to business. Maybe after each and every 6 months, you want to remind all users who haven't taken leave to say, please take leave, or something of that sort. Or maybe after each and every month, or rather each and every Friday, you want some sort of reporting on all your employees to know, okay, what is this user working on? What's their progress? How far are they? What have they done so far? And everything. So you would create a function, ideally, maybe, and then this function, maybe you would also give it access to a storage account where users upload this reports, and then you would then get to check who hasn't uploaded their report as yet, and then on every Fridays, your flow will your function will get triggered to check who hasn't uploaded, and then it will send them a reminder to say, make sure to upload your report. Or maybe you don't want to check who actually uploaded, you just want to send reminders. You can do that to say, okay, each and every Friday, run a specific task. I want you to send reminders to employees to to I want to send reminders to employees to upload their reports. Or you can run a trigger, which, I don't know, maybe post something to your storage each and every Friday. Maybe you are working on something, and then your function would do some calculations and then post it, yeah, and post it to your account, something of that sort. So yeah, here we are going to create a scheduled trigger function. You would still go to that directory under lab 2, and all you need to do is to hoi in this app, this command to create a new recurring function that uses timer trigger. So this is a timer trigger. The first one, it was an HTTP trigger. So I've copied that. I will open one of my command, my Windows terminal, and then I will just paste and press and click enter, and then it will create that. So if I do this and I come here, you can see already I have that file here. So let's confirm that it has successfully created. Yeah, it has been successfully created. So let us now get to look at what does it do. Okay. After creating, you will close it, and then after we'll get to configure it or change the configurations. So you would open in Visual Studio Code, open this folder here, and then come and open the reoccurring.cs. And then this is what it looks like. You have this code which would trigger the function each and every 5 minutes, right? And then it will log this information. It would just say C# timer trigger function executed at, and then it would give you the date which it executed. So this is triggered after every 5 minutes, right? So how do we know that? We will know that by actually running it. Okay, so I'll just copy that and then run that in our terminal. So I will come here and then, oops, it wasn't copied. I will click that to run. So ideally what it will do, it would start the function, and then after every 5 minutes, you should see this message. We should see this message, and very well, you can customize it to be something, right? After each and every 5 minutes, we would ideally see this message. C# time, C# timer trigger function has executed, and then it would give you some sort of time. But then, I mean, this is 5 minutes is a very long time, right? So let's get to move. Let's see, update the function integration configuration. Let's just move for now. We will come back after 5 minutes to check if it works. So we'll go to Visual Studio Code. We would open this directory, and then we would open the reoccurring.css file, and then we would observe this. We have looked at it. I said this flow would be triggered every 5 minutes. So here they would say update the run method signature code block to change the schedule um, the schedule to run once every 30 seconds. So as you can see, we ideally have the same thing, but then we want it to run after each and every 30 seconds. So let's check if it has executed as yet. For now, it hasn't executed. So um, I ideally want us to wait at least to see it run after 5 minutes. And then after that, we will do the 30 seconds. The 30 seconds won't take time. So because I want us to wait for it, maybe I will just pause and ask if we have any questions. If you have any questions, do ask them now so that we clarify whatever might be confusing you.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
I installed the node, but still it's still giving the same error.
Okay, what is it
Like
saying?
I'm still getting the same error. It says npm is not recognized as a terminal or external command.
Okay, so you downloaded Node again, and then after downloading Node,
Yeah,
did you click on that executable file? because after downloading, you have to click on that executable
Come
file,
again.
accept. After downloading Node, you have to click on that executable file. So you are downloading a file, um, which is, it has all the configurations that come with Node. So you have to click it. Once it's downloaded, you have to double click that file, and then so that you can install in your PC. I'm not sure if you get me. So it's more of, I downloaded. So let me show you something. I just come to my downloads. You see, I downloaded just a couple of things. Well, here is .NET stuff. So once I've downloaded this, I need to actually click on them and then start the installation process. So I just want to confirm if you have installed them like that. If you have installed Node like that. If you haven't, please do that. Make sure that you accept everything there, the licensing agreement and all. And then once you have done that, it should work. Are we good, Mr. Ming? Okay, so as you can see, fortunately, it has run. As you can see, it was logged. You can see C# timer trigger function executed at um, at 2:55. So it was triggered about 2 minutes ago. So after another 3 minutes, it should be triggered, but then that would take a long time. So I'm just gonna say Control C to stop that. And then I'm gonna go to my Visual Studio Code and change the timer here. So I will just come here and then click paste, and then, or rather I can just come in that and then say, let me make sure that I have actually the correct one. I wouldn't want to make any errors when it comes to that. I would paste it, and then it should run after every 30 seconds, right? So I'll just say I will start it and build it. And let's see. Yeah, you would save it and then you'd observe the run, essentially. So it should show us after every 30 seconds. So since while it's running, let's wait for 30 seconds. As you can see, we have our first trigger, which ran after 30 seconds. We're just gonna wait another 30 seconds for it to trigger. And then once it's triggered, then we will get to move to looking at creating a function that integrates with other services. Ah, man, this thing was stuck all along. So yeah, as you can see, it was triggered how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times. Yeah, now we will get to look at creating okay, as you can see, it just triggered um, now. So yeah, I will just close it. Okay, and then now let's look at creating a function that integrates with other system. Okay, so here, first thing first, we would upload sample content to Azure Blob Storage. So what you would need to do is to go to Azure portal, go to our resource group, which is the serverless resource group, and then we'll go to our storage. Under our storage, we'll check the container. Then under the container, we will then get to under containers, we'll get to create a container that's called content. I'm just going to copy the name, and then it would be for private access. And then we will upload stuff after that. So let me just come here. I think we've already created a storage account. So as you can see, I already have because it's under recent, I already have my storage account. I can click here to come to my storage account, or I can go to resource groups. Under resource groups, I'll come to serverless. Under serverless, I will then get to see all the resources, and then I will click on that storage account. Under storage account, I'll come under containers. A container, you take it as a folder where you get to save your files, and then after you can also determine who has access to that, whether it's private or it's public and everything. So I'm just gonna say content, and then it's private, as you can see. My screen is a little bit impaired, so I'll create that. Okay, and our container has been successfully created. We're gonna upload stuff anyway, so I'm just gonna select that, and then let's come here. So return to the containers, select the recently created content container, and then on the container blade, select upload, and then in the upload blob window, perform the following actions. Select the folder icon, and then we'll go to the func. Under starter, and then we'll select the setting.json, and then select open. So I'll come here, I'll come to upload, and then I'll select this folder icon. I'll come to 2480, I'll come to all files, labs, lab number 2, starter. Then we have settings here. So I will open that one. Okay, and then okay, so let me make sure that I needed to ensure that this is selected, but then it's fine. There's no harm. Okay. And then now we can now get to create the HTTP triggered function. And then it will be called get information or get setting info. Okay. We would do that by opening one of our terminals, func new template. It's an HTTP triggered, and then the name is get setting info. I will click enter. Then it should create. If I open my Visual Studio on the background, we should be able to see get info being created in our, okay, there we have it. So this is the template that we have under get info. Obviously, we're not gonna use the template that we have there. So I'll just remove it and not waste our time. So as you can see, we would open Visual Studio Code. I'm already there. You would go to this directory. You would open this and observe this code, and then you would delete it. So I'll just copy this one because it's the one that we are going to use. Actually, we would firstly add these three usings and then create a public class called get setting info, and then this is how it will look like. So I'll just copy everything combined to just save time. Okay, and then I'll paste it. Indentation is very important for me. And I will then get to do that. And then now that we have a class, that means we can have now methods inside. So as you can see here, we will add a method, which is a public static um, expression bodied method, which is named run, and it returns a variable of type I action result, and that also takes in variables of type HTTP request and a string as parameters named request and JSON. So I will just copy that. Well, we're gonna also add in that attributes to the run method. So I'm just gonna copy this one instead. And also I don't need to copy this one. I can go down because also now we're gonna use a get HTTP request. So I can just copy this one. So these are the building blocks of this one, right? So if you look, it's only minor changes. So the difference from this one and this one is that this one has HTTP trigger, which is a get. This one, it doesn't. And if we move below, the difference between this one and this one is that this one, it has a blob, um, a blob, a blob parameter here, and this one doesn't. So I'll just copy this one. And then I will come and paste. And as you can see, I'm having an error here. So it would be that we don't have this namespace. We don't have that. We don't have this type. So we'll get to download it later. So let's just continue. And if you notice, we have an arrow which says null. So this means for now, our function, our method returns null. But then eventually we want to return the information that we get from our blob storage content or file, which is settings.json. So here we come and do exactly that. We return that. So I will come here. I will replace this. And what I need to do is to just make sure that I put in some indentation like that. Okay, and for me, if you prefer it to look like this, you can definitely do that. Okay, so this is how it would look like now. This is everything. So you would save it, and then after saving it, we will then register the Azure Blob Storage extension. Okay, and then how do we do that? By opening your Windows terminal and then running this command. So what's left here is just saving. Don't forget we have an error here. So that's what we are trying to fix now. If I click that func extension, install package microsoft.azure.webjobs.extension.storage, it will then do the trick of removing that error that we have there. It's just gonna take a couple of seconds, if not minutes. Okay, and then it's done. And as you can see, now that error is no longer there. Okay, and now we're gonna build our solution. And then after building our solution, we'll get then to test it. Okay, and the build was successful. So now let's move into now testing. So you would come to this directory on your terminal and then you would run this. Okay, I would come here and then I'd paste. Then our application should now start, or rather our function, Azure function should now start. Okay, it has started. Okay, and you would ideally run this on another instance of the terminal, hence I didn't close the other one. I would run that, and then you would need to, to actually navigate to API and then get settings info, and so that we can get content of that file. Remember that file is uploaded in Azure Blob Storage, so we don't have access to it. So our function, which is now local, can actually go to Azure Blob Storage, to our Azure storage account under the container, and take that file content, and then it will display it to us. And also, because I'm one person who likes experimenting, so I will just take this and then run an HTTP GET under Thunder client and show you guys how it goes. So I'll come to under client, and then I will say new, and then I will paste that URL. It's a GET. I don't need any body. I'll just click send. And as you can see, I have a 200 status, and then this is the contents of that setting file. So if I come, let me try and open here. I come here, and then I come here, and let's look at what does this file actually. let's just say edit. As you can see, this is how it looks like. I'm just gonna change this. I'll just say it's Philip a.cosa. It would be at itthink.com. At itthink.co, and then under com, I'll just say ZA. And then here, my phone would be 07123456789, and I'll save it. So this is the content of the information that you are reading. So you see, not only can you get access to the blob storage, but then to the storage account, but then to the content of whatever is in there. So I'll just click send again. As you can see now, it's Philip a.cosa at itthink.co.za, and then those are my phones there. See? And then if we come here, we should see that also that if a scheduled trigger, it keeps on running after each and every 30 seconds, right? And then yeah, if you want to see it using the terminal, you can definitely do that. You say cd API, that's the first, and then you'd say cd get get setting info, something of that sort. And then under here, this is where now you would run your get command. So let's look at how does that look like. You just say get. So I will come here and then I will paste that get and I'll press enter. I should get a status of 200 as well as the contents of that JSON file. This is actually taking some bit of time. So I'll just say exit and make sure that actually CLS would enter that. Okay, then I will then maybe I might have misspelled something. So I'm just gonna copy and paste everything one at a time. Okay. Oh, it's setting info with a small I. And then I would run get. And let's wait for it and see what happens. Okay. We should see the very same content of that information, but then here the difference is that it would be my name and it would be my number, my phone rather. Okay. I'm still asking myself why it's taking this long, so let's just give it time. Okay, and then after that, you would ideally be done with exercise 5, and then this is exercise 6, where we deploy the application, and then we will be done with lab. You will be done with lab 2. Okay, this is taking longer. Okay, let me confirm with that client if this is still working. Okay, yeah, it looks like something. Okay, you can see it's not returning anything. So let me actually restart the app and then wait. Did I just see some action there? Okay, it is working, but then on this other side it's not. So I'm just gonna restart it and then see what was actually the problem. I'll just say exit and then CLS just to clear that. I'm gonna connect to my API and then what I would say it would be CD into API, and let's make sure that this is the correct. And then you just say get. Okay, and now we can see it's working. As you can see, this is the same information that we were looking for. And then I'll just exit. And here I'll just stop this function. I'll close one because we will no longer need to use a couple of these. Okay. Okay. Now we're looking at deploying our local function project to an Azure Function app. How do we do that? By opening our Windows terminal, making sure that we then get to log into Azure. So you should have installed Azure CLI for you to actually be able to log in. So I'll just say login, and then I'll enter that, and then it would want me to log in. It would take me to the portal, and then I'll be requested to log in. And just like that, I'm logged in. Okay, let's wait for it now to actually show that I'm logged in. Okay, we're logged in now. So we are trying to deploy it, though the issue might be, we might experience one issue. What issue is that? Remember when we were creating our Azure function, we couldn't find that what do we call? We couldn't find that hosting tab. That hosting tab actually plays a crucial part in terms of now when you're trying to host it. so that the storage would know how to then communicate. But then anyway, let's just move. I will just copy this. And I'll paste it there, and then I will need to give it my function name. How do I go about that? I will come here, and then this is my function name, function app name. Okay. And then I will paste it there, and then I will press enter, and then this should actually publish my application to Azure. And then once after publishing, what's left is just to verify if that is published there. As I thought, app is missing Azure Blob Storage app settings. That setting is required for publishing consumption Linux apps. So this is the problem that I have encountered, I think, in the morning when I try to publish an application, and I tried to